Most mammals can twist their trunk so that their abdomen can face sideways, an advantage if you feed your young with breast milk. With the rib cage extending all the way to the trunk, as with reptiles, this posture is almost impossible. Even though mammals were unable to cope well with low oxygen content, the evolutionary advantage of their lung system proved to be a survival factor. Fossilized for all time, a mother and offspring lie side by side. This was found in South Africa. Immediately following the mass extinction, mammals began a different lifestyle. They cared and nurtured their young, fed them with breast milk. Scientists think that the low oxygen levels continued for a further 100 million years. And this played its part in the evolution of true mammals. This fossil is the oldest known of a mammal which had a placenta. It was recently unearthed in China. It was found in strata dating back to 125 million years ago, at the time when dinosaurs were at their peak. This could be the ancestor from which all placental mammals, including humans, have evolved. Dr. Ji Qiang was part of the team that announced the discovery.
正是由于这个低氧的情况之下，外界的条件可能不是太有利的，所以母亲为了保护自己的孩子和孙子后代，所以她改变了她的生殖方式。因为正如前面已经讲了，胎生这种生殖方式由母亲给孩子来提供营养物质和氧气，那么这一种现象来看，要远远比卵生要优越得多。 所以我相信，在这种情况下，胎生由卵生变为胎生，与当时的低氧环境是密切相关的。
With mammals like us, the mother and her child came to be linked by the placenta. Her blood flows through the umbilical cord to the developing fetus. Red blood cells laden with oxygen are fed to her infant, supporting the growth and development inside her womb. Perhaps instigated by low oxygen levels, this relationship between mother and young was a new evolutionary step and is unique to the mammals of the miracle planet. Some 65 million years ago, the mammals were still obliged to live in secrecy, still trying to stay hidden from the giant reptiles which had ruled the world for the previous 150 million years. But that reign was to come abruptly to a close.
When you go to the end of the Cretaceous to see the rocks deposited then, there's very easy to recognize evidence that an enormous catastrophe was caused by this asteroid impact. We see the result of tidal waves. We find material falling from the sky. We even find minerals that we don't find on Earth, such as iridium.
The dinosaurs were wiped out. The mammals survived. Now we stand and wonder at the bones of these giant lizards which were the dominant species for so long. The world was now for the taking. Mammals were able to move into every niche, but it was one group that lived in the trees that began a new line in the evolutionary path. This fossil dates to about 9 million years after the dinosaurs had gone. It's called Carpolestes. There is a feature of this skeleton which is intriguing. On one of its limbs there are fingers, and one of them bends toward the palm. This is what primates have today. From this fossil, we can try to reconstruct its world. Like many mammals, it was probably nocturnal. More than likely, it spent most of the time in the trees. It was safer there than on the forest floor. Its diet may have been fruit and berries, but Carpolestes' lifestyle had hardly changed since the time of dinosaurs. There were still ferocious predators on the prowl. This fossil gives the clue. The creature which made this footprint was a contemporary of Carpolestes. They belong to a bird, a giant bird called Diatryma, almost 2 meters, 7 feet tall, possibly the largest animal on land. Once the dinosaurs had gone, birds like this seized dominance. Dr. Lawrence Whitmore is a dinosaur expert at Ohio University. He has been studying the ecology of these giants for the last 15 years. He is fascinated by the skull.
Well, when I first saw the skull of Diatryma, the first thing that I was struck by was its size. It's absolutely huge. This comes from a bird, but it's larger than any known bird skull that's living today. It's potentially larger than what we see in a lion or a bear, but it's organized differently. What this animal used this unusual skull for.
From the CT scans of the bird's skull, he detected large cavities on the inside of the cranium. He thinks this is where the muscles to move the beak were supported. From their size, he is certain that the beak was very tough, capable of stripping flesh from prey animals, as lions do today. Its skull was very large in proportion to the size of its body. Obviously, it was a ferocious predator.
We know that Diatryma, just like the Tyrannosaurs,